You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hey there, music fans. Welcome back to Modern Musicology. My name is Alan, and here is Stephanie Seymour.
Hello, everybody.
And Anthony Williams.
Happy holidays.
And it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas everywhere you go. Yes, this is our holiday episode. It's also our final episode of the year. And it's also our episode number 99. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what's coming up at the end of the show. So definitely stick around till the end, because not only that, but I have a special surprise lined up that excited. You'll want to hear. So we are talking about holiday traditions and holiday music specifically. But before we get into that, I need to get to some listener feedback very quickly. This is from our episode about the Rolling Stone magazine list of guitarists that Anthony and I did a couple of weeks ago. But because we had big interviews the last 2 weeks, we weren't able to open our mailbag. So I just want to get a couple of things in real quick. Brandon Reed thinks that Frank Zappa should have been higher on the list. No doubt about that.
Yeah.
Michael Phillips said that he thought the list was very weird and, quote, I appreciate them trying to include more recent guitarists rather than regurgitating more of the same 60s, 70s artists. But in some cases, the positions of classic rock guitarists was really odd. And then our good buddy, Eric Sensava, wrote to say, hello, friends. After I perused the entire list, 2 names came to mind for me that fall into the how could they not include that person category. One of them is Joe Bonamassa. So, Alan, I'm glad that you mentioned him. The other one is Brian Setzer. Most know him for the top 40 hits of the Stray Cats and a little bit of his work in big band stuff, but those who dig deeper into the catalog will find that this guy is a guitar virtuoso, particularly with rockabilly, but all around rock and roll. Like you guys said, their attempt to incorporate many diverse styles probably pushed Brian out. Too bad. And as I responded to him and said, you know, Brian was on my list and I completely forgot to mention him. So I'm so glad that you brought him up, Eric. He is definitely one of my faves. I just love that guy. Everything he's done and his playing is just phenomenal.
So I was shocked Joe Bonamassa wasn't on there.
Right.
I mean, that's really weird, actually. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, that's the mailbag for this week. And this week we are going to be discussing some of our favorite holiday music. And to get us started off, I'm wondering if the two of you have any special Christmas or holiday traditions that you do every year, whether it be music related or not. And Anthony, I'm going to start with you because I know that your partner is big on Halloween music. So I'm just wondering if Christmas music or holiday music plays the same sort of role in your household.
It probably doesn't. We definitely have our own Christmas playlist, but I don't think it gets as much play as our Halloween playlist does each year. I say our own. It's more, we have our go-to playlist that's one of those Spotify curated ones, whereas we have our own Halloween playlist that we put together. But in terms of kind of family traditions, I think it depends, because for the last, I don't know what it is at this point, 6 or so years, I've spent Christmas with Colleen's family, who, you know, I think every family does Christmas a bit different. So growing up with my parents, I'm in a family of 3 with them. I have no siblings. I have no, I don't even have any first cousins. Both of my parents are also only children. So Christmas, a lot of the time, particularly once my grandparents got too old to travel, or particularly after my grandparents passed away, it was just the 3 of us. And as an adult, what that normally meant was start drinking early, open presents with a glass of champagne around 11. I'm
Nice.
asleep on the couch while mum and dad are making Christmas dinner. And then we'll eat around 3 or 4, and it will be the more British style of turkey with all the trimming, stuffing, roast potatoes,
Yeah.
etc., etc. My parents are big into wine, so there'll normally be some incredible wine with dinner before we settle down, watch Doctor Who, and fall asleep on the couch again.
I want to come over to your house.
I know, right? That sounds
Yeah.
amazing. Let's do it.
Colleen's parents do things a bit differently. We get together on Christmas Eve, and every Christmas Eve we watch Muppets Christmas Carol. Every Christmas Eve, it's the family tradition. And then Christmas morning, me and Colleen's mom are normally up first, and we tend to stretch together, do a little bit of yoga because she's big into yoga, and I need to stretch more, so it's a good cue for me to actually do it.
Right.
And then as everyone gets up, her dad makes like a breakfast casserole. Colleen makes cinnamon rolls. We have our breakfast. We open up stockings. Then we move on to main presents. Everyone sits around the tree. We do that, and then there's normally some kind of pasta dish for lunch normally, and then we'll watch Doctor Who and have a few glasses of wine as well. So I guess the commonality is wine and Doctor Who between the two.
I love it.
Again, that sounds fun. We'll be right over.
Exactly. We're all invited this year.
So I will hand the mic over to someone else for their Christmas tradition.
All right, Stephanie, let's hear it.
Okay, well, I guess growing up, it was more like we split doing Hanukkah and Christmas. Mother is Catholic and my father is Jewish. So I would do both things with my brother. We'd have like 8 days of Hanukkah, which would be fabulous because we'd get presents for 8 days. And then we'd have Christmas too, where we'd get presents. So that was always fun. But, as I got older and, now my dad's in Florida, so we don't really do much for Hanukkah. But Bob's family is, celebrates Christmas, and we usually go to his sister's house, and they have a big, big family. So there's a lot of nieces and nephews, lots of brothers and sisters, and we usually bring my mom over there. We've done that for like many, many years, but his sisters are now spending a lot of time in Florida for the holidays. So we kind of just do our own thing. We go see my brother and his kids, and usually musically, like you asked about, do we do any special thing for music? Bob usually learns one song every year, like a Christmas song. So last year he did Jingle Bell Rock, and we will in our show notes, we will put the link to the little video that he did last year. That's so cute. And it's just an instrumental, and the guitar is so great on it. And our friend Ray Nissen played organ on it. So we'll put that in our show notes.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to hear that.
Yeah, I'll send that to you.
So for me, I do have a song that is kind of traditional for my little household, which is me and my partner. And we were decorating the Christmas tree one year, and I don't even know, I guess like a Spotify radio something was on, and something very not Christmassy came on, and that is Total Eclipse of the Heart by Bonnie Tyler. And we just got so silly, like over exaggerating the miming the lyrics and dancing around to it and everything. So that is actually on my Christmas playlist because it has become a very special Christmas song for me. It's so goofy. I would never listen to it's not one of my songs, it's not something I would listen to normally, but it's one of my Christmas songs. Speaking of Christmas songs and holiday songs, let's talk about some of the stuff we do like, some of the stuff that we enjoy listening to at the holidays. I will say that I spent a long time in retail, and I got so burnt out on being force-fed Christmas music that there was a long time that I just could not enjoy it. I couldn't listen to it on my own, and it's taken a long time for me to get back to where I can like put on a Christmas playlist, and it makes me happy to hear it,
Well, they also, start it so early. It's like, 3 months out, and they're going with the holiday music. So it's
And
annoying.
the stuff that I put on my playlist, you would never hear in most stores, so.
I imagine that something that I enjoy, but is fairly repetitive, which I'm thinking of Feliz Navidad. That must still Set your hair on end, Alan.
Feliz Navidad.
Do, 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 do.
Right.
Yeah, I love that song. It's so cheesy. It's so
It is good. I know.
simple,
I like
but
it too.
there's just something about it that brings me joy.
But you're talking about the original, the Jose Feliciano. Yes?
Yes,
Because there
yes.
are some covers of it that
Mm.
are terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Terrible.
You know, I bet there's probably quite a good punk cover of it somewhere. I can imagine it having, a punk makeover. That could be quite fun.
I would
If
love
anyone
to hear
knows
that.
of one, write in and let us
Yeah,
know.
let
'Cause
us
I want to
know.
Yes,
hear about that.
absolutely.
When I was growing up, my parents had this compilation CD called It's Christmas. 18 original Christmas hits. And it wasn't strictly, it was quite British in some ways. So it wasn't necessarily all, Bing Crosby and Frank Sinatra and that kind of stuff. There was a lot of the glam rock stuff. The glam rockers loved doing Christmas stuff.
Yes,
So,
they did.
Slade, Roy Wood and Wizard, Shakin' Stevens, even Elton.
hmm
Those guys were all on there. Kate Bush's December Will Be Magic Again was
Wow.
on there. I love that track. And my couple of favorites that I think people don't really think about, Jonah Louie's Stop the Cavalry, which isn't specifically a Christmas song, but has kind of a Christmas vibe, and the line "I wish I could be home for Christmas"
hmm
is on there. That's fantastic.
Hmm.
Mud's Lonely This Christmas, which is a wonderful Elvis pastiche, is on that CD.
Yeah.
And Krista Berg's A Spaceman Came Traveling, which might just be my favorite Christmas track.
What? I have never heard of this.
Oh yeah, it's basically, the concept behind it is Christ is an alien. It's amazing.
We have to hear this.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Please do check it out.
Oh my gosh.
Probably my favorite holiday track, and it's most people haven't heard it. I think it's spectacular.
Oh my God.
Awesome.
I have
Okay.
to dig that up. That's amazing.
So anything on that CD, and they do have some of the Nat King Cole, Bing Crosby, Brenda Lee type stuff on there, but there's a lot of the kind of British stuff that doesn't necessarily make it onto Italian playlist. God, what country am I in? American playlist. What the hell, Williams?
All of a sudden we transport.
Get out of
You're
here.
like Doctor Who land or something. I don't know.
Always.
Cool. That's very interesting. I'm going to talk about Amy Mann. You know what? It's interesting. I was putting my list together, and I noticed that quite a few of my artists and people and songs were a little bit melancholy, and it was just sort of like a running theme in my favorites. But so Amy Mann has a record called One More Drifter in the Snow that she put out in 2006. I mean, it's mostly like the great Christmas standards, but there's two also outstanding original songs on that album called Calling on Mary and Christmas Time. And there's a fabulous duet that she does with Grant Lee Phillips for You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch. It's hilarious. He's insanely talented. And that in his voicing of that character is so fantastic in that song. So, again, I find, of course, her voice always brings out this sort of like melancholy feeling in me. And so even some of the more happier songs on that album just kind of have this wistfulness to them, which is not a bad thing. I just think it's interesting, and I love the album. There's not a bad song on there, not a bad interpretation on there. All great.
I have never listened to that. I will do that tonight, because I'm always looking for things to add to my Christmas playlist, especially originals.
Yeah.
I get kind of tired of most of the traditional things. And, unless you're going to do something really interesting with it, then I just don't need to hear another version of Jingle Bells.
Listen to Calling on Mary.
I will.
It's fucking great. Love her.
I will. That sounds amazing. My favorite Christmas album, this is a strange one, but in 1987, the first volume of what became a series called Very Special Christmas came out. And it's not like 100% great. There are a few songs on there that are just not, terribly good. Like, I just don't need to hear John Mellencamp sing I Saw Mommy Kissing Santa Claus. And there's a couple of things like that, but there's so much great stuff on it. And a lot of the songs that are on that are my like definitive versions of these songs. And on my Christmas playlist, I only ever have one version of any song. It's a long list, but I don't have, except for like 2 exceptions. One of them is Santa Baby, and I'll talk about that in a second. But for the most part, I only have one version of every song. So I have to pick the one version that I most like. And most of them come from this album. Winter Wonderland by the Eurythmics is wonderful. Whitney Houston tears up Do You Hear What I Hear? It blows me away. I mean, I've heard this song since 1987, and I still love it so much. The Run DMC song, Christmas in Hollis.
I was going to mention that. That's such a good song.
Madonna does a great version of Santa Baby on it.
Huh.
And I said I was going to mention that one later because I was in a wine store a couple of years ago getting something to take to, actually, it may have been last year. It may have been when we were shopping for something to take to Anthony's Halloween party, and they were already playing Christmas music. I'm thinking it was something like that. And I heard on the overhead, I heard sort of Santa Baby, but it was kind of a Latin beat to it. And I started listening to the words, and I'm like, I know this voice. This is Sheila E. And I was like, I didn't know she did a Christmas song, much less a cover of this. And I looked it up when I got home. And so it is, I have 2 Santa Babies on my, because I cannot leave either one of them out. But my 2 favorite tracks on that album are 2 songs that you don't normally hear. Anthony is probably more familiar with both of them, being from the motherland of Britain, but Gabriel's Message, a lovely version of it by Sting. And then Alison Moyet does this amazing version of Coventry Carol, which, oh my gosh, it just kills me every time I hear it. It's so beautiful. So that album is really, really special to me. Most of it, at least, I love it.
So it's funny you mention Gabriel's Message, because I actually have a version of that I was going to mention. And for a long time, every year, Marillion puts out like a little bonus CD for their fan club members at Christmas. And they did all sorts of covers and weird things on there. But one of the tracks was a live version of Gabriel's Message that they had done at one of their Christmas shows. I believe there's a version of the performance on YouTube. And the way Steve Hogarth sings it is just beautiful. It's a really good version. Of course, being Marillion, they kind of build it up in a very proggy way with a lot of atmosphere. And it works really, really well.
Yeah.
Some of the other covers they've done, I already mentioned Lonely This Christmas by Mud. They cover that. And Steve Hogarth really plays up the Elvis impersonation. But as it wraps up, they then go into a fast guitar line and they do like a Sex Pistols pastiche of the same song, which is hilarious.
Wow.
And they also did a version of Stop the Cavalry as well, which gets even sillier, and they really have fun with it. So tracking down their Christmas bonus CDs is always worthwhile because they can be pretty silly and pretty fun. And as a bonus single one year, they did a version of Carol of the Bells.
Oh, wow.
Again, gets pretty proggy. The video's hilarious. They pastiche Bohemian Rhapsody with it. It's really, really good and quite funny. And they end by going into the James Bond theme, because why the fuck not?
Why not? That's amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have to look all this stuff up too.
They always did some really entertaining Christmas stuff.
Wow.
Cool.
Learning a lot of new things already.
Me too.
Yeah.
This is one of the reasons I wanted to do this show, because I kind of feel like I'm stuck in the stuff that I always listen to. And even though I continuously discover new things, I knew that you were going to introduce me to all kinds of things I hadn't heard before.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that. Steph,
right.
What do you want to introduce me to now?
Well, you probably know this, and I think we'd be remiss if we didn't speak about the Pogues in light of Shane's passing, which is so sad.
Yeah.
But so the Pogues, this song features Kirsty MacColl singing with Shane, Fairy Tale of New York, which is the single was actually released before their full-length album came out in 1988. So the single was released November 23rd in 87. In the UK, it's actually the most played non-carol Christmas song of the 21st century. That's
Yeah.
pretty
Is it
incredible.
really?
Yeah.
It is. It's everywhere back home.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Wow.
And like it wins best, Christmas song polls, year after year. So I think the interesting thing about this is, originally Kate was singing the song when they were recording with Elvis Costello. He was producing them. I guess so Kate left the band. Steve Lillywhite took over production from Elvis Costello, and Steve Lillywhite took the song home to his wife, Kirsty MacColl, to put like a guide vocal on. And the Pogues ended up liking it so much that they actually re-recorded Shane re-recorded to Kirsty's track, and that's what you hear on the record.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's a beautiful song. It's speaking of, kind of melancholy. I mean, that's an up and down emotional song. It's a really great song.
Yeah.
And I think most of us have been there with a partner at some point where you get drunk and you have a blazing row.
Totally.
And, by the end of it, it's like, okay, yeah, we've kind of been shitty to each other, but we've got each other, and that's great.
Right.
And to your point, Steph, I don't know if any of our listeners or if either of you have ever watched the British TV show Gavin and Stacey. But in one of their Christmas specials, two of the characters do karaoke and sing that song to each other.
I have seen that.
It's really good.
Oh, that's funny.
So what do you got, Alan?
Well, here's my other favorite album. And I know that this is going to it's going to sound problematic at first because it's from 1963 and it was produced by Phil Spector.
Okay.
Oh.
And it's called Christmas Gift to You. And I love it so much. And it's so many songs that I grew up hearing, and it's soul versions of mostly secular, like seasonal and Christmas songs, and it's the artists on it are Darlene Love, the Ronettes, the Crystals, and Bobby Sox and the Blue Jeans. And my favorite songs from it are Frosty the Snowman. And, like I said, I don't really dig a lot of the traditional things, but, having grown up listening to this version, and there's just such a fun atmosphere. There's such a joy about these versions of these songs. Marshmallow World, Winter Wonderland. It's one of only another occasion that I have two versions of the same song on my playlist.
Ooh.
So I have Eurythmics and the one from this album, and then Sleigh Ride, Baby Please Come Home. It's such a good record. I love it because it's not the kind of Christmas music that you expect to hear.
Yeah.
Oh God, I love it so much. So I know Phil Spector is not a nice guy, but
well,
I'm going to listen to my Christmas record anyway.
Exactly.
I can set it aside in the spirit of the holidays.
Yes.
Stephanie, what you were saying about slightly more melancholy songs resonates with me, because I found in lots of Christmas music, even if it's not necessarily melancholy, I really enjoy tracks that are in a minor key.
Mm-hmm.
And when I think of Christmas carols that I really enjoy, that's the same case. Gabriel's Message we already talked about. I generally love any version of that. I think that's such a hauntingly beautiful song.
Yeah.
Likewise, Carol of the Bells, minor key.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a function of my British private school background, but there are a couple of Christmas carols in Latin that I really love.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Gaudete and Personae Hodie. Those are both so fun. I remember having to sing both of them at school carol concerts when I was a teenager, and they were just really fun to sing, and you get a nice epic sounding organ behind them, and it really adds some oomph. I'm a sucker for a good kind of traditional Christmas carol as well. God Rest You Merry Gentlemen's another example, which I think is I think that's in a minor key. I know. Again, something about that just resonates me. It's also probably why I'm such a heavy metal fan, is I love things in a minor key.
Well, I mean, I know what you mean. Like, I'm not necessarily talking about minor keys now, but there's so many. I was looking over Elvis Presley's Christmas catalog. There's about 1 million songs that he's done, but I mean, there's some of them that really just get me, like "Oh Little Town of Bethlehem," and I don't know, "Lonely This Christmas." He's got that voice where, again, there's something in it that just, maybe I'm projecting too, because he's not here anymore or whatever. But like, it's just, there's something about everything that he does almost that has some kind of wistful and melancholy thing. But I was going to say also, one song, totally not having to do with Elvis, but that I was thinking about in terms of the melancholy thing is 2,000 Miles by the Pretenders. Because it was written, it was written for James Honeyman Scott, who had just died the previous year. And, Robbie McIntosh plays such a beautiful part on that, such a beautiful guitar part. And the whole song is so beautiful and just, it's really touching. It's a beautiful song.
It is one. It's on my playlist. It is one that I absolutely love.
Mm-hmm.
It's just haunting, and it is. Oh my gosh, and it's so beautiful. And I think that Chrissy's vocal on it is so strong. And it's not the kind of song that you normally think of her singing. No. And it just comes, everything just sort of falls into place on that recording, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah, it's very ballady for her.
It is, yeah.
Yeah. And one song that always, it doesn't matter who does it or whenever, if I hear it in a commercial, whatever, but "I'll Be Home for Christmas" makes me want to cry every time.
Oh.
It just does.
Oh.
And now I think it's like in a commercial for like adopting animals or something like that. And I'm like, please go adopt an animal, everyone.
The adopt an animal commercials make me cry anyway.
I know.
And then you add that song to it. Oh my gosh.
I know.
I want to talk about a song that Anthony mentioned just a second ago, and that was "God Rest You Merry Gentlemen." One of my absolute favorite holiday albums is, one of my favorite artists is Lorena McKennett, who is, I think, mostly originally thought of more as like a Celtic musician, but she has done a lot of stuff where she incorporates a lot of different musical traditions into her songs. And she has an album that came out, I don't remember the date, like 10 years ago, maybe, called "A Midwinter's Night's Dream." Mm-hmm. And there's some originals on it, and there's some like traditional ones that she has created a new musical setting for. And the three standout tracks on this album to me are a really cool version of "Good King Wenceslas," which I think is really neat. And it's got kind of like and I don't know how to describe it, but it's great. Just go listen to it. And then the song "Seeds of Love," which is so beautiful, but my favorite track, and nobody else likes it as much as I do, but it is like a 7.5 minute version of "God Rest Ye." And it's all like hand percussion, like very authentic kind of like percussion from around the Middle Eastern region. And this song literally sounds like a caravan crossing a desert on camelback. It is so amazing. And she does this really beautiful vocal, and then she always layers her voice to add all these different harmony textures to it. And it's so amazing. It just floors me, and I love it so much. And it is one of those ones that I discovered while I was working at a music store, and we got a promo copy of this album. And I'm like, okay, it's Lorena, who I absolutely love, and it's a Christmas album. I can't wait to hear it. And this version, I just played it all the time. It's so incredible.
Awesome.
You mentioned "God Rest You Merry Gentlemen," Alan, and that brings me to, everyone knows my love of heavy metal if you've been listening to this show for a while.
What? No.
Yeah. Now, my boy Rob Halford from Judas Priest, he has put out 2 separate Christmas albums. One under his solo band Halford, which was an actual band, and one under Rob Halford and Friends, and I think it's Rob Halford with Family and Friends. And hearing metalized versions of Christmas songs, I don't know, it's hilarious. Hearing "We Three Kings" start out with a wailing guitar solo before going into a really crunchy riff,
nice,
is just outstanding. And So the first one that he did with his band was called Winter Songs. And that's, I think there are about 4 original tracks and maybe 6 covers on there.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the covers are traditional, and then he does Winter Song by Sarah Bareilles.
Borealis.
Yeah.
Borealis.
Mhm.
I don't listen to her. I've got no idea how to pronounce her name. But he does We Three Kings, O Come, Emmanuel, What Child Is This, O Holy Night, Come All Ye Faithful, and they're all done in a heavy metal style. And they're
Wow.
so fun.
Oh my gosh.
And then the one he did with Friends and Family, Celestial, is equally ridiculous, and he tackles God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, he tackles Away in a Manger, Deck the Halls, Joy to the World, O Little Town of Bethlehem. Just it's almost all Christmas carols, and again done in a
Mhm.
heavy metal style, and it's just so entertaining and unexpected and wonderful. And I really love this image that this heavy metal singer, who is a very out and proud gay man, who is
Mhm.
also very out and proud about his love of BDSM, also really has a big soft spot for Christmas. It's
Aw.
just wonderful and really, really entertaining. And then while I'm on the heavy metal train and talking about God Rest You Merry Gentlemen, Tony Iommi and Ronnie James Dio did a crushing cover of that carol, and it's just spectacular. Go check it out.
How have I never heard that before?
I don't know.
That's
You need to ask yourself some serious questions about your life, Alan.
I do.
About your life.
About my values, about my priorities.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you?
Oh my gosh. I can't believe that there's a Dio thing that I don't know about.
All right, I'm gonna
Oh.
completely just it's just so opposite of heavy metal that it's like you're gonna throw up. Also, you're gonna maybe throw up just because of who I'm gonna talk
Oh
about.
my God.
But I love Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas Is You. I'm sorry.
God.
I can't stand her usually, and everyone knows that, but
Yeah.
that is one of the best
Mhm.
Christmas songs of all time. And, hats off to her because she co-wrote it with her writing partner and they wrote it in 15 minutes. I just can't even,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just say hats off to anybody who came up with a newly written
new
song
song.
that quickly got
Yes.
established as a holiday
Exactly.
standard, as a tradition that 100 other people have now covered. And
Yeah.
I mean, it really is a great song.
And
It's
here's
a
the
great
thing:
song.
it has a retro vibe to it as well. Like
Yeah.
as a teenager in the 2000s, I had no idea that it wasn't a cover of someone else's song.
Right.
By the 2000s, in and of itself, I guess 2003 it made it into Love Actually, which
Oh, right.
we don't need
yeah.
to talk about Love Actually. But I'd assumed it was like a true Christmas classic from the 60s or 70s because it's kind of got that 70s vibe that came
Yeah.
out of the glam rock scene that she had covered. And I was greatly surprised when I found out, no, it's a Mariah Carey original.
Yeah, you're totally right. It has that vibe for sure.
Mhm.
It's great,
Yeah.
actually. I have no shame in saying that either. I think it has made its way into the Christmas rotation for a reason.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And may even be the most recent song that's on, everyone's standard Christmas rotation.
Yeah.
I have a couple that are newer than that I'm going to mention in a minute.
Or I was just going to say just another that some would consider cheesy and some wouldn't. I am of the wouldn't consider it cheesy category, which we talked about before. Paul McCartney's Wonderful Christmas Time.
That is on my list of 2 Christmas songs I cannot stand.
That you hate. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very polarizing, that song. I'm in the love it camp. I think it's just really fun and happy and I love it.
I'm in the kind of like it camp.
Okay.
So I'm sort of in the between you two.
Steph, it's official. We can't trust Alan anymore. He doesn't have a strong opinion on the song.
Oh gosh, that's hilarious.
Oh my God.
I want to jump back real quick to Mariah. On that same album, she has a version of Oh Holy Night, which
Mhm.
has like a gospel choir behind her. And there is a live version of that. It is unbelievable. unbelievable.
Oh, that must be great.
Unfreaking believable. That, you know, I mean, her voice to start with, and then you add a gospel choir behind her, and that song itself, and it's, you know, and it sounds like, you know, it's a live recording. It sounds like it's in a church because of the way that the audience is responding to her.
Wow.
It's incredible. It is my favorite version of that song.
Wow.
Yeah.
Keeping on the theme of Christmas songs I can't stand.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to offer up another one, and that is Cliff Richard with Mistletoe and Wine.
Oh. Good old Cliff.
Richard.
That song, along with his Millennium Prayer, which, if you missed it, was literally the Lord's Prayer set to the music of Old Lang Syne.
Oh, dear.
Those can both fuck off.
Fuck right off, Cliff Richards.
Get out of here, Cliff Richard.
And here's the thing, I like his early stuff, like not his Christmas stuff, but his early stuff, you know.
Yeah.
The Young Ones, great track.
Yeah.
But his Christmas stuff, no, get out of here.
Oh, God.
All right. From the old, I'm bringing it to the new, and I'm bringing it to my friends, actually. I have friends named Denny Bonet and Chris Flynn. So Denny, it's Deni. She is an amazing violin player. She's known for her violin. She's played with everyone from like REM to Cyndi Lauper to Sarah McLachlan to Robin Hitchcock to a million gazillion people. She played like Carnegie Hall. You know, she's unbelievable. And she's also a singer and a songwriter. And my old bandmate, Chris Flynn, who's an outstanding guitar player, plays with Denny now. So they've been playing together for about 4 years, doing shows together, and they're so great. But they have a new Christmas song, and it's called Can't Wait to See You on Christmas. It's their first writing collaboration between the two of them. And it's so great. It's sort of like a mixture. It's like poppy, kind of like Mike Viola meets like That Thing You Do, meets a little Americana influence, I think. And you can find it on, you know, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, all those kind of places. And Denny Bonet is on Instagram under just Denny Bonet, Deni Bonet, and Chris Flynn is under Flynn on Guitar at Instagram. So please check my friends out. They're so awesome. And the song is so great.
That's really cool.
Yes.
I've got a couple of new ones that I immediately established a strong love for that I want to mention. And the first one, actually, I shouldn't say that I immediately established a love for it, because I pulled up my playlist to look through, you know, to get highlights that I wanted to mention on tonight's show.
Mm-hmm.
And I found a song that I was like, I don't remember this. I don't remember adding it to my playlist. It's from 2021. It's just 2 years ago. So at some point I came across this song and loved it and added it to my list, and then completely forgot about it, because like whenever I put my list on, it's never shuffled up. But when I played it a few days ago, it was the second song that came up. And I was like, what is this song? And it is, it's kind of a country super group, sort of. They're called Pistol Annies. And the song is called Snow Globe. It is so fun.
Huh.
And the album is almost all originals, and with a couple of like traditional things at the very end. But the album is called Hell of a Holiday. So I very quickly added both Snow Globe and the title track to my playlist, and they're so fun.
What's
They're
the
so
band
great.
name again?
Pistol Annies.
Pistol Annies. Okay.
Yeah. And then another one is brand new. It just came out a few weeks ago. And this is a gal called Christina Chong. She is one of the cast members on Star Trek Strange New Worlds. And she has started releasing some songs this past year. She released an EP of 4 original tunes that are very cool. She almost has like a smoky torch singer from the 40s kind of feel about her. And all of her songs have been really, really good. But this new one, which is called Fuck You for Christmas, it's all about being heartbroken and being dumped by somebody. And again, she sings it in that torch singer kind of mode. And she's like, fuck you and fuck her too. And all this. And
oh my God, that's fantastic.
Funny. It is so amazing.
It's outstanding. And she's extremely talented.
Yes.
And I had, until the musical episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, I didn't know she could sing. And ever since hearing that, she's just been a revelation. I second that recommendation of that song, Alan. It's fun.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing.
All right, I'm going to use my turn to actually open this up to a broader discussion about one particular song.
Oh, cool.
And I'm going to ask for opinions on Band-Aids.
Oh,
Do they know it's Christmas?
I love it.
We were going to talk about that.
Unconditionally love it.
So do I.
I like the tune. I like the combination of bands.
Yep.
I think the lyrics are the most condescending shit ever released at Christmas time.
I only think there's one line that's really, really awful.
What?
Well, firstly, I hate Bono and his diva-ishness over the
Tonight,
tonight,
thanks.
thank God it's them instead of you.
Yeah.
I heard he threw hissy fits when he wasn't given that line on some of the later recordings. Like I heard he threw some proper tantrums.
Wow.
But the concept of do they know it's Christmas time at all? Given that large swathes of Africa are Christian, I would wager yes.
They would. Yeah.
So I just think it's all kind of condescending. And
There's a lot of problems with the song.
Yeah.
And Bob Geldof even sort of not disowned it, but like he
acknowledges it now.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was well-meaning.
Yes.
And it is really cool to see all those artists come together. But yeah, I think even the charitable goal, Bob Geldof himself even said in the end, the aid packages ended up in the hands of the wrong people who just hoarded them and what have you. So its heart was in the right place, but the execution was not great.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I always think about the fact that like this was what was it now? 30 years ago, was it? Something like that? I can't even remember.
Oh, longer.
84.
40 years ago.
So and just everyone was younger, and it was a different time. And yeah, I think hearts were in the right place. There is condescension in the lyrics. There is like straight out, ignorance in the lyrics. But again, I think it's a good song, and I really like it. And I have good memories of the song. In other words, it brings back good memories of the season and whatever too. And look, when I bought the thing, I was like, hey, I'm helping people. I wanted to think that at least,
Right.
I actually really liked Band-Aid 20, which was the one they did in 2004.
Yeah.
Where they brought in, Tom York and Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead, the two brothers from The Darkness doing guitar. And that's the one apparently where Bono really had the hissy fit because he was originally assigned a different line.
Oh.
But it's got all these kind of artists from the time like Keane and Chris Martin from Coldplay, and Dido's on there, and
I think Julia Fordham's on that one. Is that the one she's on?
Is she?
I think she might be on Band-Aid 2.
Oh, okay.
But like the Sugar Babes are on there, and Robbie Williams is on it, and it just kind of reminds me of like my teenage years and my childhood to some extent. So it's that one's really nice.
I want to mention a couple of novelty songs. These are ones that I thought about putting in our novelty show that we recorded a couple of months ago, and I thought, no, I have to save these for our Christmas episode, because one of them in particular is like it just puts me right back to when I was like 11 years old and I didn't know anything about what this piece was talking about, but I enjoyed it nonetheless, and I enjoyed it with a different awareness now, of course. And that is, it's 1971. It is Cheech and Chong, Santa Claus and His Old Lady. I love it so much. Have you heard this?
Mm-mm.
Oh my God, you have to. It's one of them telling a story to the other one about who Santa Claus is. And it's Cheech is telling the story, and Tommy is like, he's saying, about the Santa Claus dude, and Tommy's like, oh, I know that dude, man. I used to jam with him down on the corner, and he's like, no, man, this is not that guy around here. And it is so funny. And it's a drug. Obviously, it's a drug thing, because how could he do all that in one night? Oh, it's the magic dust, man. And I don't know why I was listening to this when I was 11 years old, but oh my God, I love it. And then there's another one. Okay, talking about songs that I just can't stand, and that is 12 Days of Christmas. Oh my God, I hate it so much because
Really?
it's so effing repetitive. But there was one done by Bob Rivers comedy troupe, and it was called The 12 Pains of Christmas. And it's that song, but each line is like basically from an impersonation of a different character. And there's a guy who does like an Archie Bunker impersonation, and he just gets more and more angry as the song goes on, and it's just hilarious.
12 Days of Christmas can be really fun. I remember being at a Christmas dinner in England, and there were about 50 of us there, divided onto 6 tables.
Wow.
And we all sang it with each table taking 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And doing it firstly, people get mad when they're not the table that gets 5 gold rings. But doing it that way can be really, really fun and really enjoyable.
I will say, last night I was at a concert that my nephew sang a concert with the Georgia Boys Choir. And the last piece of the night, this is a 2-hour show, and the last piece was 12 Days of Christmas. And when we came in and sat down, this was in a big church. And when we came in and sat down, on the back of the pew in front of us, there was a little sign that said, 10 Lords a Leapin'. And I thought, oh, they're going to do that song and they're going to make the audience sing different parts. Well, they did. So the audience is divided up and each one sings. Now, the whole congregation sang 5 gold rings.
Okay.
But so you miss out on that argument part. But every section of the church was divided up into a different line, and each section stood up and did a hand motion that went with whatever they're singing about. And watching like 5 rows in a church of people standing up and doing 8 Maids of Milking, where they're like, oh my God, the funniest damn thing I've ever seen.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So that was actually quite enjoyable.
See, it's not so bad, Alan.
No,
See?
It is. Anything else?
It is. I got one more actually that I did forget to mention. John Lennon and Yoko Ono, Happy Christmas, War is Over.
I do love that.
It's really great. I mean,
I do
obviously
love it.
it's originally kind of, an anti-Vietnam War tune,
Yeah.
but the single's so great, and it features the Harlem Community Choir, and it's beautiful. So that's one I just wanted to mention.
Well,
I want to.
Yeah, go ahead.
I shouted it out earlier. I also want to give one second mention, because I love it so much, to Kate Bush's December Will Be Magic Again.
Yes.
It is excellent. And, I don't know, it sounds kind of magical. It's got that Kate Bush piano thing going on and her haunting voice, and it's just fantastic.
I had a few other things on my list, but I'm going to end with one that I didn't have on my list, that now that we're talking about these things, I'm like, how can I not mention Bowie and Bing? I mean, come on.
I know.
Come on. And there's a cool story behind it, that Bowie was invited. He was just about to put out the Heroes album, and the single was just coming out, and he was invited to do the special with Bing, because Bing was going to do Christmas in merry old England. So Bowie came on the show, and they're like, you're going to be singing Little Drummer Boy. And he's like, oh God, I hate that fucking song. Can we do something else? And they're like, well, no, we can't, because Bing wants to do that song. And he's like, come on, you got to do something. And so in like an hour, they wrote Bowie's part, which is that counter melody part.
Yep.
And it is now like a Christmas standard.
Yes, it's fantastic. It's such a great story. And that video is just something to behold, isn't it? Seeing them together. It really is. I think it's just it's touching and amazing. I think I really love it.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else to talk about, that's going to wrap it up for us. So listeners, drop us a line with your favorite holiday music, especially if you celebrate a tradition other than or in addition to Christmas. We'd really love to hear what songs make the holiday for you. And we're going to take a very quick break. We're going to be back in 30 seconds. Do not go away, because I have a special thing planned. So. Be back in 30 seconds.
The Epsilon 3 is a dream given form. It's a home away from home for 3 guys to watch a 90s sci-fi classic TV show. 3 guys with microphones over 3,249 miles apart, all alone in the night.
The year is 2262. The place, Babylon 5. The podcast, The Epsilon 3.
On the ESO network.
All right, we're back. And Anthony's got something that he wants to do for his pick of the week. So, Anthony, what you got?
Yep, and it's one thing. It came out this week, and it's spectacular, and that is the live album from Porcupine Tree's final tour.
Yes.
Closure Continuation Live.
Mm.
It's not Christmassy, but what does that matter? It's still on my Christmas list, the Blu-ray performance of it. I'm hoping someone buys me that. If not, I'll buy it for myself after Christmas. But it just took me back to going to see them at Radio City, even though it's not from the Radio City show. It's so good. Listening to that group play with just the level of virtuosity that they have, it's brilliant. And if you're a Porcupine Tree fan, go check it out. It's probably from what will probably be the last tour they ever do.
Yeah.
And just everything. Yes, please. More live albums from Porcupine Tree. They could release every date they did on that tour and I would buy them.
Right on.
So that's my pick of the week, and that's all I've got.
Sweet. Okay, I want to pause for just a second to let listeners know what's going on. Alan is about to surprise Stephanie with a video of his band Hardisons performing her song There Was a Time. Now, she has no idea that this is happening. She has no idea that we ever learned her song. She has no idea that we've been performing it in our recent shows. So this is a complete surprise for her, and her reaction is amazing. We don't have the full reaction here in the podcast, but definitely go and look for it on YouTube, and we'll post a link to the video of it on our Facebook page. So I hope you enjoy this. This is Hardisons performing There Was a Time by Stephanie Seymour. And here's the surprise. All right. Are y'all ready for something special?
Yeah, what you got?
Well, since this is our Christmas episode, Stephanie, I would like to give you your Christmas present right now.
Okay. I didn't know I was getting a Christmas present right now or anytime. What is my Christmas present?
A few weeks ago, my band Hardisons, which for listeners, if you've not heard me mention it, it's a Atlanta-based Heart tribute band.
Yes.
And we did a gig, and at that show, we played a special song just for you.
What?
Okay? Yes. So I'm going to play it for you now. And for folks listening on the podcast, you'll hear the song, but Steph will actually be seeing a video play.
Oh my God.
And we'll put the video out on our socials after this episode comes out.
I'm so excited. Okay. Oh my God.
Okay, you ready? You ready?
Yes.
Here we go.
Here we go. Okay. I'm blown away. I am like, I was like crying, like, that's so unbelievable.
Merry Christmas, Steph.
Thank you so much. That's so beautiful. I just want you to know that was the best present in the whole universe. Thank you. Like, I can't even believe, like, that's so cool. That's so freaking cool.
I just wanted you to hear your song performed live.
I mean, I also loved the way you did it. Like, you know, it was like true to the form, but like you did it, like, obviously, like you guys would do it. That's so, and the sound, thank you. I am like speechless. I cannot wait for the band to hear it. I really can't. I think they're going to freak out. I am just so excited. Thank you. Will you please tell your entire band, like, I love you?
Yes, I will.
And I love you.
Oh, I love you too, Steph.
Wow.
Yeah, it was really good. I'd seen a tiny clip of it, but I hadn't seen the whole thing, and it was good.
Oh man, that's so cool. Thank you, Alan. Oh my God. Thank you. Listen, that meant that I thank you so much. That was absolutely beautiful.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Tell them they nailed it.
I will. All right. Well, that wraps it up for this week and for this year. We'll be back in January with our episode number 100. And I was thinking that to celebrate that special occasion, we would do a show where the audience interviews us. We are looking for questions from our listeners. They can be silly, serious, probing, off the wall, completely bizarre, whatever you'd like to ask us. You can email your questions to us at modernmusicology1@gmail.com. Or we'll be making some social media posts about this so you can respond there. All right, guys, that's it for this year. We're off. We'll be back in January. Everybody have a great holiday season, and we will see you early 2024. Everybody take care.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to everyone.
Yeah.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.